to show a little bit of the KFS portal. I know it's kind of tiny view up here. As David said, there are plenty of ways where you can go and kind of play around with the KFS system. You can go to the test drive and visit one of the labs that are running, I think, pretty much nonstop over the next couple days, starting tomorrow morning. So, so we certainly encourage you to go out and kind of take a look around. And what I wanted to talk about a little bit was just sort of the general layout of the portal, what you'll find there, why things are organized the way they are. And when you get out here into the sort of main portal page in KFS, you'll see that there are sort of three tabs up here at the top. There's a main menu and a maintenance menu and an administration menu up there. We kind of carve things up in this portal, you know, originally really to help with testing, I think, as much as anything. And over time, it's kind of grown as we've given some more thought to it. I do think some institutions that are working on implementations or have implemented or have actually used the portal as it is. Of course, you could certainly integrate with your own portal if you have a web-based portal that you'd like to use, which I think is kind of what we're doing at IU, carving it up a little bit differently. But it is available, certainly, if you want to use it as it stands. So I'll just sort of go through what you'll find on the different tabs here and talk a little bit about, if we have a couple minutes for it, just show you a document real quick and give you the breakdown on one of those, give you a little background before Vince and Bill talk to you about some of the chart documents, and Barb and Nicole take you through some of the transaction processing ones. On the main menu, what you're going to find tend to be your standard common transactions. These tend to be what we call transactional documents. That is, they're documents which are going to generate entries, which are then getting passed along, probably either to the general ledger ultimately or into the labor ledger. So these tend to be, if you're fairly decentralized, transactions that would be pretty decentralized, out and about, with lots of people having access to them. And you can see within a portal page like this, there are further little breakdowns. There's a transactions box over here. There's custom document searches where you can search for particular types of transactions by fields that you would find within those particular transactions. There are balance inquiries for labor and GL, which Joan Hayden and myself will talk a little bit about later as part of the general ledger portion of our program. There are some reports here, some of which are specific to certain modules within KFS. A little further down the page there, we're going to get some lookups and maintenance items that tend to be fairly commonly used. Things like account lookups and object code lookups for the chart of accounts reside here. Some other things like looking up assets for capital assets if you're using that, looking up awards and proposals if you're using the contract and grants module that's built into KFS. Also, sort of tucked away over in the corner there, we have some administrative transactions. These are things that might be pretty commonly used, but maybe used by a smaller group of folks. So they tend to be things like journal vouchers, which are pretty powerful transaction processing document that you would probably want to restrict access to. Things like the general ledger correction process document, which I'll talk about a little while later, is kind of a powerful document to send files directly into your general ledger. Things like effort certification recreates, if you authorize people to recreate effort reports if you're using that module. Again, it's a fairly small group of folks. You would probably want to have access to that kind of stuff. So a little more potent transactions sort of squirreled away over here under administrative transactions down in the corner. When we start to get into the other tabs, we see things change a little bit. On the maintenance tab, we still have things kind of broken up. Here pretty strictly by module in a lot of cases. Chart of accounts, accounts receivable, contracts and grants, efforts. So if you're not using every module, not all of these would necessarily apply to you. But these tend to be documents that are used to maintain tables within the system. So we make a distinction in KFS between transactional documents, which are documents like a disbursement voucher where I'm going to pay somebody something and that's going to send entries into the general ledger, or a general error correction where I'm moving an expense from one account to another. We refer to those as transactional documents, and maintenance documents are documents that are really about updating the tables that sort of underlie our system. And so you can think about, there's a lot of chart of accounts ones here. Maybe I need to add a new chart. We're deciding to build another campus, or we want to reorganize the way that we have our accounts organized, and we want to create a new chart. To do something like that, we can come out and do this, or to add a new indirect cost rate to the system. Maybe we renegotiated with the feds and we got a different rate that we never had before, so we need to update our tables to make that a valid choice. So the stuff out on the maintenance tab really sort of defines what's valid for your institutions for all these different modules. And you'll hear when Vince and Bill talk and show the chart of accounts, you'll get a pretty good sense of how these maintenance documents work and sort of what I'm talking about when I say we're updating, really kind of the structure that keeps your system going. So we've got transaction documents, we've got maintenance documents. We also have some things that sort of hang out on the administration tab, and frankly a lot of these are things that just couldn't really fit anywhere else. And they do tend to be a little, again, sort of for maybe a smaller audience, and some of them get a little technical as well. We have a lot of our links out on the administration tab have to deal with things that really sort of cross modules or might apply to the system as a whole rather than to chart of accounts or capital assets or contracts and grants. Things like our Kuali identity management, which sort of among other things defines who can do what and how things route for approval. A lot of that information is housed and maintained out here. Again, kind of like maintenance documents, really. I'm updating information, saving information into tables in the system rather than creating transactions that I'm passing along to a general ledger or a labor ledger here. But just a little more broad in terms of what we're talking about. There's some configuration ones out here, which here we'll find like our document types and system options, which sort of defines key values for a fiscal year within KFS for you. We have ones that are sort of technical, like some workflow attributes that get leveraged when we use things like document search or certain lookups. And over here we also have some things that we apply particularly to our batch processes. We'll talk about general ledger a little later. I'll talk about some of the different places that we can accept, the different places you might be getting transactions from. And there are links out here that allow you to upload files that could be processed directly by the general ledger, such as the collector or the enterprise feed. So an enterprise feed might be something coming from a payroll system or a student system. Also the ability to come out here and actually manually run or schedule batch jobs to run. So if you want to set up your nightly accounting cycle to run, you can do that out here under schedule. And then some monitoring things that are kind of RICE related for the service bus, and some that are related to workflow that the technical folks understand, and we love them for it. So a lot of folks probably won't find their way too far off the main menu if you're just sort of a general user. I've got a couple accounts and I want to manage the income and the expenses on those accounts. I'm probably going to find pretty much everything that I need kind of here on the main menu.